So proud. We had in this sport more than 30 world titles. It was amazing, and we were so keen to bring all the world former champions from the professionals and the juniors under 19 to have a great moment and to celebrate this moment all together with the minister, of course. And we made like a small game after the photo to guess how many world titles in this photo, and I don't think any other country in the world have this amount of champions in one court. So everyone was so proud, and it was a great pleasure to have them all on court together.
Well, I will add more than the president has spoken, but the one I was getting very happy myself if we host international events in Egypt, especially the last previous 3 years, we just host exceeding 440 international sports events and competitions in variety, sort of the World Championship for the handball, especially during the COVID-19, and we create something, we call it medical puppets, which we create something with the juniors and youth of doctors, medicine, before the vaccination and everything. So it was the first step to have sports movement in 2021. And later, after we success, actually the President IOC, Dr. Thomas Bach, is mentioning that after this success, we will go and run for the Olympics Tokyo. Then after later, you have fencing and judo and taekwondo, so we have the capabilities actually for the manpower expertise as well, the other facilities, and we are preparing ourselves for the future to host one of the Olympics one at a time. Especially we already in the new capital built the biggest Olympic city and village situated on 5 million square meters with the whole purposes for the future. So if we have the fight, we will not say we will build, but we already build to encourage, and this is the visions of the country in Egypt through the president and government. Actually, for the black hole competitions, I'm getting very happy for that one, especially the black hole is the first very specified club for the squash. Only for the squash, in Egypt we have 1,200 social and cultural with the sports club. This is the features of the club. When we say the club, it's against the membership and the family inside the membership doing the sports, the social life, and the cultural life with the many of the categorized from the membership. So with the private sectors supported by the government, we encourage the private sector to build and practice with the operations in every and all sports, especially when we start with the black hole and when they ask the Egyptian federations to host. We said it's very welcome, and they have the support from federation as well from myself, and we give the support to have something with their encouragement and the doing with the good sports management. I think we have it, and I'm looking for the futures with the new generations. So the first generations, they knew their way. Especially you have a lot of legends in the squash, and we just have the Ali Farag actually and his generations he quits, but we have a recycle from him to have the management with the federations to keep the tracking with the role models of the players, and they have another players actually, but the juniors and the young, it's good and important, especially we have some of the national projects for the sports development and talent program as a government. One of them actually which I give the wings and support the squash. Yeah.
And how important is squash as a sport in Egypt in terms of motivating and infusing other sports in terms of their development? Are you using is squash a valuable case study for you in terms of other sports and their development? And how important will the Olympics be in that?
Actually, as a sports development, we are doing the planning for the sports part of the squash. As a talent program select for the players, and as I said, it's a very special case for the squash with the family. Because of the family, it's like 50% from our support. It's not all the sports like that. It's the squash, and the competitions running between the family, not the players some of the times. So just we modify the case between the family, some of the stuff as I'm very happy. It's not the vice versa. To have some of the parents convert their career. Some of the parents, they are very professional in the medical or engineering or whatever, and they left it to be a sport manager for the players. Some of the time, for some of the case, I said, you're the father and parents or mother. It's professional to have another sports manager because of you are working with the passions, not with the mental. So, and I push with the mental coaches to support them, to help, and we have a different program for the sport mental coaching as mentorations and whatever as a sports sciences. It's different between the sports developments and the Olympic program. Because of the Olympic programs, it's different case. It's very professional to deal with the players in the certain Olympic program, because of it does need a lot of efforts, a lot of some of the time not fighting, but fighting for the Olympics developments and career planning. Because of if I put the plans for the Olympics, it's minimum 3 by 4, which means every 4 years for 3 times, so 12 years. So it's minimum to have this. It's equal match the age group to have the Olympic champions medals. Now we have it for the squash. So the Olympic squash players now they are in this program with the professional planning age. So have a certain players as per the we have the sport, the scientific committee working with the Ministry of Youth and Sports, and we have a planning committees work with the Egyptian Olympic Committee, and we have the planning committee with the federations to meet together for have decisions for the Olympic athletes. So we will see.
Thank you very much. So, and some of the aspects that the Minister has raised there in terms of the importance of parents and families, but I do know that also can have its challenges. Yes. So how do you approach that in terms of making sure that family environment is right, but actually it then puts quite a lot of pressure on you as a national federation president in how you manage that. Particularly, I know that your predecessor would often call me and say, Zina, I need more spaces in the British Junior Open because the parents there are 50 parents that all want to send their child.
Yes, exactly. Like every parent wants the best for their kids. So whatever we do, they just need more, and they want to have more for their son or daughter, and they're never satisfied, and they always want the better for them. So that puts a bit of pressure on us as a national federation, because we have plenty of players and we have plenty of champions. So we're trying to do the best for everyone, and as far as we can get for every and each player, especially with the support of the ministry, and they are doing also their best. I think Egypt is different than any other country because we have a lot of champions, and they are all top seed, and they all want the best. And the parents want more for their kids. That always puts us under pressure, and they're always demanding and never satisfied, but we're trying to handle it in a good way with the help of the minister, of course.
I always think it's a nice problem to have in many respects.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I'm going to just give the audience, please, to prepare some questions. It's your opportunity here to ask some questions to the minister and to Anna. And the African Games, we were very excited when we heard that the African Games was going to be in Cairo. So how important is that for both Egypt and for squash in terms of, the reason
First
why?
choice is to have to program the squash in the
Excellent. We're very pleased to hear
yes.
that. So, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard that today from the minister. So, it's important for us too, but we also recognise it's probably a really important step for
the
Egypt.
squash first, and we will try to think about the other sports.
Excellent. That's very great to hear. Thank you. So, questions from the audience. Yes, Mohammed. We need just a roving.
Mohammed Raif, former CEO of Black Ball Squash Club, and now CEO for the most prestigious company owned by Minister of Youth and Sports, the Modern Company. In fact, as we know, only one of the most factors to guarantee sustaining the squash as Olympics is to spread the game all over the world. What I'm asking the Excellency Dr. Ashraf, as you President of all Ministers of Youth and Sports global Arab world, can you encourage the Arab world to encourage squash as you made in Egypt to guarantee, especially till now, the squash in the Arab countries is limited, so limited. What I'm asking you, how can you encourage them to give more attention for squash? Thank you.
It's good questions actually. As per my positions with the head of the Arab League Ministers for the sports, youth and sports, it's good to encourage some of the sports. The sports community worldwide, we have it, the IOC, then we have the International Federation, then the continents federations, like what we have Africans and Asia. The Arab world actually they based geographics between the African and Asia. Actually, these numbers of the country, they have another communities in the sports, which they have the Arab sports federations, headed by the Ministry of Youth in Saudi Arabia as well, and they have certain other communities like the Olympic federations in our world. Actually, we have the speaking for all of them to put the squash in the Arab world, starting with the competitions, because of when you have the first step in competitions, attract the other countries and people more than starting from the scratch or from the bottom lines. So I'm ready to push with the whole federations. But some of the times, every countries they have their own plan and the priorities. So if they ask individuals for that, of course, with the Egyptian Federation, myself will give the whole support for that, whatever this kind of support.
Thank you. Any questions from the audience? Yes, the back. I think we probably need a roving mic. Jordan, thank you. Be the roving mic. Thank you.
Thank you. I work for the PSA in France and with the French Federation as well. Some question about sometimes the difficulty we have in France to build new clubs, because it's important to build new clubs and to have juniors and the ecosystem you have. Is there a support financially from the ministry or with federation, financially or any subject that helps new clubs coming? And if yes or not, are there more specific squash clubs, or are there multi-sports activity around squash?
Okay, the answer, of course, yes, there is support financially from federations. Let me segment the actions of the squash. Actually, during the first of 19th, the squash started to have the view in Egypt. It's not before that to have the squash what we have right now. So we have some of the individuals, and they came by the efforts from the family, as I mentioned, and the competitions between the family. When we start analyzing that, some of the family, they start to have their own private coach. The other family, they compete them to have the better coaches. Some of the other family, they try to have the best equipment for the squash. The other family, they try to have better than the other family to subsidize their own players, and so on. Then we came as a country and a government to support these actions. Starting, especially we have like Ahmed, Rada, some of this kind of generations, to have the good role models for the other family and the other players. The government came from this point to support the courts. So we have some of the national projects, the courts everywhere in Egypt, starting from the regular youth centers and the other clubs. So every new premises we have squash courts on that one. And even for the international Cairo Stadium, which I'm proud to have my role as a head, part of my time in my life ahead of this one, we have the main court in that one. So from this time and the point starting to have the success of the history for the squash. Here I have another segmentations. The squash, before getting the Olympics, was based on the professional and the BSA. BSA is a very professional, but the good issues, it's attract the private sectors and the support with the sports marketing efforts for the players. So the sponsors came in the middle of the area to support the champions and the players. From that point, the other segmentations of the success. The governments came to the sports more than the professional. So the sports, we support the young, the international federations for the competitions, because we have ecosystems, financials for the whole sports. We put, of course, the squash and the ecosystems. The professionals, the running with the sponsors, and they getting a lot of money with the PSA. But the young, we have the support to have the base of the sports. Now we have the third generations of developments to have the sport as Olympics. So we put the squash in the Olympic program, which we have a lot of the financial support. It's a huge support for the Olympics in Egypt, and even we have the ecosystems, then we have the medals with the big money from the government, and we open the gates for the financial support and subsidize for the private sector. A lot of the sports developments, especially in the leading states developments, it's big in Egypt, developments with the businessmen and the companies, they support the players. So we equal going for the sport athletes supports, and even we have the good systems to have the relations between the incentives and the sports athletes in the schools. So we give a lot of the athletes support and subsidize in the schools to have more degrees for the champions to go for the another educations, and we have with the colleges and university another incentive. We give the financial support. End of the day. Thank you.
So, I'm coming to you in terms of how does all of that how has that influenced the strategy of the federation since you've been in? I mean, you've probably been 10 months now, and it takes quite a while to bed in and whatever. But how has all of that influenced in terms of the strategy of the federation and what your key priorities would be going forward?
We don't have one priority right now because we have the Olympics, so we're focusing so much on the Olympic team, and also we don't want to leave the juniors as especially in the Olympics now. So all other countries are trying to compete very hard. So from our side, we have to keep this up going with the juniors as well. So we're focusing so much on the juniors, not only on the Olympic team, and we're trying to do a lot of tournaments, and we're trying to like more national trainings, and we try to introduce a lot of coaches to support the players on court and off court, and we have now like nutritionists, strategies, everything to take care of our juniors and for the Olympic team. So we're trying both ways, not only for the Olympics.
So has it generated that more structured approach as a result of Olympics?
Yes.
Very much more structured with science and technology being ahead.
Of course, we have to have mixed. Like most of the Egyptian players are very talented, but we need as well the technology involved in everything. It will decrease the effort on the players and for the federation events.
And many of your squash players are also very well educated. A lot of them have got degrees.
Yes.
So how does that relationship in terms of squash and education and higher education in particular, how does that work, and do you have an involvement in trying to manage and support that?
Yeah, I think most of our players have a huge discipline, and they're very presentable, and most of them get like scholarships all over the world or in the best universities. And I think it's a very good thing to represent your country as an athlete and a very well educated student as well. And so we have this.
It's very important because of the relations between the educations and athletes sports. It's very important for us. And the IPU itself, for the athletes, it's making the difference and differentiation between the sports athlete and another one. The education is very important, and if we figure out and analyze the athletes in the squash, all of them is very advanced program. The educations. Amna, she's young, and she's very close to the whole players as president of our federations. And she just like a player did some of the time. I'm feeling that. So she's doing the push everywhere and doing a lot of efforts with her board. She's an engineering as well, yes, players. Most of the players, they have the top of the range university worldwide, like Ali Farah. He graduated in mechanical engineering from Harvard University in the States. And this kind of level, even in Egypt, most of them, they have many systems in Egypt, like the private universities and the top of the range 100 university, they based in Egypt. So most of them, they graduate from this high level graduations. And even the educations for the regular education, we have a government schools which is running very good, but we have very classified private sectors in the schools as well. Most of them in the top of the range of the schools as well. So we have talent, good IQ, good cultures, good educations, but they are very professional in the money as well.
How are we doing for time, Brianna?
We have about 10 minutes.
Okay, so we've got time for any more questions from our audience. Oh, Mohammed.
I do appreciate what Amna did for the Egyptian Squash Federation, and now I'm asking Amna and Zainab. While we give all our attention to the athletic in the squash, we don't need to forget the development of coaches. The WSF used to give classes to certify our coaches, but I think we have a long time we did not see any classes. So I'm asking Zina and Amna to give more attention for the coaches' development. Thank you.
It's very good and very timely question as well, because coaches are key. I mean, clubs, the clubs and the community are really important, but we need coaches as well at all levels, at beginner level and all the way through to elite level. And sometimes that's not necessarily a linear pathway, because you can have coaches that will specialise at the beginner level. But the World Squash recognises that, and we've actually just invested in what will be launched in April is our World Squash Academy, and that's a new learning platform which will start with coaching, and we'll put also women's leadership and a range of other different programs on this platform. It can accommodate up to 23 languages, but we'll start with a few languages, including Arabic and Chinese and Mandarin, as well as English, Spanish and French probably. But we already have a very good program of squash coaching from the foundation level, level 1, level 2 and level 3, which are delivered all over the world, for those nations that may not have their own coaching system. But if nations want help in developing their own coaching system, we'll also do that. So for Egypt, we have Ashraf and Afi on our coaching commission, and what we really like to do is in nations such as Egypt is to ensure that they have enough coach tutors as well as coaches, and female coach tutors to develop more female coaches as well. So I think that's, and we've discussed that, and I think that's on our programme to work together to ensure that that Egypt has enough well-qualified, high-quality coaches at all levels, because we do know also that Egypt is exporting coaches, because nations such as China that desperately need coaches are kind of sucking in coaches from Egypt, and what they need there is a coaching qualification that is transferable across the world. That's what the World Squash coaching programme provides. So yes, we're hoping that strategy is part of Amna's. We hope it's part of our mission. But Amna, perhaps you'd like to respond to that.
Yeah, we actually discussed that. It was a call between me, you, and William about the coaching programs for our coaches on all levels, not only on coaching, on refereeing as well. And we're looking so forward to collaborate with the World Squash to do that for all our coaches. And we also have Captain Ashraf Sobhy in the coaching committee. He will help us do this for all coaches on levels in Egypt.
And I think just to come back to the refereeing, I think the refereeing is as important, if not even more important, for Egypt, because we know you have lots of coaches, but you have very few referees, and yet the infrastructure for your competitions from this big to under 11s to under 19s and onwards is huge. I mean, you have there's a competition infrastructure here which is probably bigger than, for juniors certainly, as big as anything in the world. And well, I think you've got kind of 500 under 11s playing in your national championship. Where are the referees for that? And I think that's almost more crucial in terms of development.
Yes, exactly. And we're especially looking for the female referees as well and female coaches. And we're working hard to develop that. And the past few months we were working on a lot of new referees, all were former players. And they actually started on our new season, the national season, and they started joined the matches and they performed really well after having like level 2-3 levels for refereeing, and that's just a start for now, and we will continue upgrading.
For those who weren't aware, there is on Tuesday here, there's a workshop for female referees, to develop more female referees, and that is supported by the Olympic Solidarity Funding, which William has negotiated with the IOC, but that's a really important, and that's hopefully something that we will expand across the world in terms of trying to encourage more females to come into refereeing, which is really quite crucial. But I think you might need to have a word with some of those parents and trying to persuade them to pick up referees.
I would like to ask a question related to this. So you have put this machine of success and built on how you're bringing up all the juniors, the coaches, the participation here in Egypt supported by the government, which is so important to have squash where it is now. With all the competition that you have from all the parts of the world coming up, particularly China, the US, Malaysia, taking coaches, working with some of the players that are also moving abroad. Are you proud of that, or are you a little bit scared, or how are you going to protect that you have built?
I will start to take this one. Actually, since I started as a minister, I used to be before that deputy ministers, and I'm a professor in the government university as well. So one of my planning how to keep this squash in Egypt. Since I used to be a deputy minister, it's like from 2014, 2016. That time I put the national program to continue to be sustainable. Because we have many of the cases. One of the time we have Pakistan. They were leading Junction Khan and whatever, but they dropped in this squash and they tried to build it. So we start very early to have awakening systems in the squash. So I'm not scared because we have the good ecosystems, but we help the people and the countries, but we keep ourselves in different places. So since the squash getting as the Olympics, all the countries start to come to have the coaches and to have a plan. Some of the countries, they convert the players from badminton to the squash. So I'm analyzing around wherever they are doing. But we accept the camping in Egypt, so we accept to send the coaches. We are almost 100 million and 20 millions. We just 65% young. Under the ages of the schools, which means under 18, they exceeding 27 million, which the age we are getting the talent players and whatever. So we are happy for helping the countries, the people. It's good to have these issues, but we have to develop ourselves always. The problem always based on the competitions. So the problems getting in the competitions to have the crisis problem everywhere, every time. But we have our plan for it. Thank you. We're not scared.
Okay, I think we've got another question. Yeah, Daisy.
Hello, my name is Daisy. I run Squash Dreamers based in Jordan, in Amman. I wanted to ask a question because in Jordan, so much, well, all of our squash infrastructure is in Amman, in the capital city. I don't know how much you've been able to support and infiltrate into communities outside of Cairo. I know that also in Egypt there's so much focus on Cairo, and whether or not you have been able to expand to some of these more rural communities, or what your plan would look like to try and bring in more rural communities to squash, as well as you have been able to in Cairo also.
I think that the government is supporting a lot of other places in Egypt, not only Cairo. There's also squash in Alexandria, Tanta, Damietta, and Asut. It's all over Egypt. And they support, as a federation, we go where the courts are, we find where the courts, and we start developing the courts by approaching coaches to move there, players, go and see the juniors go under, like, starting from the age 7 and 8, and that's how it works. We see where the government develop the courts, and then we go as a federation to develop the players and coaches.
Good questions. Actually, squash in Egypt everywhere because of the culture itself. It's being around. In Egypt, even the regular social classes who have the sports centers, community centers everywhere. I have, as a government, 5,000 from this kind of premises, which in everywhere in Egypt. We have courts, most of them. So whatever the social classes, whatever the demographic and geographic, we have everywhere. When I said it was an observation for me, I mentioned it's in certain social classes they love the squash in Egypt, but some of the countryside sports in Tanta, they are very famous and they are getting very competing to Cairo some of the times, and have in Alexandria and south, each, north, east, west, everywhere. I'm pushing that. I like that to have this question.